Yeah, sure.
Would that
Yeah,
be fine?
absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So yesterday, I'm going to start with gbpusd. So
Yeah,
yes, so yesterday we were looking for it to drop before it gives us the bullish move, which it did. So price was around here yesterday. So let's eyeball and put our zones. All right, so we can say we had support around this area, right? Then we had resistance around this area. And we were saying if it breaks below, if it manages to break below, we could see price reach here so that it can do something, so that it can do, let's say, maybe something like this and then push up, right? So that was our first option. And then we were also looking at price coming to retest this low, right? And then push up. Since we had analyzed from the daily and the weekly, we already knew that price was in a bullish trend from the weekly candle. Was remember on the weekly candle we said last week's candle, right? It closed above this resistance and then it closed in the week. So we were looking at price possibly retesting that low and then push up to complete the week fill. So that's what
yeah,
we were looking for. So for you to catch that buy, right? This is what I wanted you to look at. I wanted you to look at, okay, we had resistance right here. All right, so I wanted you to look at price coming back to this resistance, right? To retest this resistance. It's only a sell if this 1 hour candle had closed below, but then it did not close below. I'm going on the 30-minute time frame. So this was our right, this was our support, right? And the last time we talked, price was around this area, and we were looking at this candle, right, pushing or closing at this low, right? But then when this 30-minute candle closed, the next one closed bullish, which pushed price high again, right? So if price had closed above, then you were going to buy straight up, right? But then it didn't. So we were still looking at it pushing down to the low to retest the low, and then if price did close below, then that would push price lower, but it didn't close below, it pushed higher. Because even if you look at the 1 hour time frame, right, the candle did touch the low, but it didn't close below, it pushed back inside the
yeah,
range. So that was your confirmation for buys, right? That was your first confirmation for buys, right? And then the next bullish candle was the one that invalidated the sells, because if price was going to push lower, then we were supposed to see the next candle pushing lower or closing not even if it didn't manage to close below the support, it was supposed to close below the low. So
yeah,
remember we said if price fails to break the low or the high that the low, yeah, or the low or the high, that invalidates the buyers, right? So the next candle was the one that invalidated the sales, and then the next candle, which is this candle, is the one that confirmed this candle is the one that confirmed the bullish setup, because you can see it even closed above our resistance,
hmm,
was we had candles closing at this area. So if actually let me do this. All right, we had candles closing at this area, right?
hmm,
So we could potentially say, since this candle see this candle, right, that invalidated the sales, if it, since it had closed below, right, the sales were still there, right, because this could have been looked at as as a retest, so price could have fell, created a low, didn't really create a new low. That was one signal for, like, for bullish setup to be still in play. And then the next bullish candle, the one that invalidated the sales, if it had closed above, that would have been our confirmation for buys immediately, but it didn't. So price could have basically made a low, come back for the retest, and it could have pushed lower to the area that we were expecting it to reach before it pushes
Mm-hmm.
higher, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, the next candle retested the low,
Close the door.
but then it closed above. So that was your confirmation for buys. So that's where you were supposed to enter.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So as much as we were looking for a bearish candle, right? You were still supposed to read
Yeah.
structure. That's why I kept saying, if price comes lower, right, and it closes with one bearish candle, one strong bearish candle, right, then there would be definitely high chances of it pushing lower, but you need to see it push up a little bit before it pushes down, so that it creates new resistance,
Yeah.
a new lower high for it to push lower. But like I
Yeah.
said, but if price fails to create one strong bearish candle, right, and then it creates this series of small candles, right, that's why I said you need to see one candle closing below. When it closes below, you need to wait for it to give you a bullish candle, and that bullish candle would have looked at least something like this. It could have been smaller also, that would have been fine, but it could have looked something like this, right? So you see, with this bullish candle, that's good. If the next candle had, let's say, had a wick up, and then it came to close below this low, then that would have been your sell confirmations.
Okay.
Yes. So this candle did invalidate the sales. However, it didn't close above where we would expect price to go high. So right now in our minds, price was still ranging. Anything could happen. And that's when we had
Yeah.
price closing above.
Gotcha.
Yes. Because even though price pushed lower on this candle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how it didn't have as much bearish pressure as the bullish candles have. The bullish
Mm-hmm.
candles were closing strong, but the bearish candles were closing weak. So that's telling you that price has higher chances of pushing higher than actually dropping.
Gotcha.
Yes. So that's what you're supposed to look out for.
Wow. Yeah. The same was with gold as well. So I saw that one yesterday too.
Yes, so
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna look at gold also. All right. So right, for today, I would say
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. Mm-hmm.
we have to go on the weekly time frame, right? We were looking for price
Mm-hmm.
to close up this week fill, of which it just completed it, right? So
Yeah.
since price is at that high, right? It and since price does actually have the bullish pressure today, it could push higher. However, for it to push higher, we would want it to make, really, ocean. We would want it to make a new low. Yes. So for it to push higher,
Mm-hmm.
we needed to make a new low, right? But so we're going to
Mm-hmm.
highlight the weak fill where it's at, which is this one, right? And then there's also this weak fill that's happening to your left, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would say,
Mm-hmm.
since people would be expecting price to actually fall from here, they will push price a little bit higher to complete
Mm-hmm.
that
To take them
small.
out.
Exactly, they take them out here,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we can then see a retest for price to
Mm-hmm.
push
And then go higher.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
would say if we're entering a sell, we would put maybe a sell limit around 44,200, 144,200. All right, but then
Um,
if 1.44,200.
mhm.
All right, so if let's say price does manage to reject where it's at right now, or let's say it pushes to that next area that we are looking at, I would say, because it is pretty far. That's on the, because we found this area on the monthly time frame. It is pretty far. So I would say on the weekly time frame, if price does manage to reject the high it's at right now, right, we have to look for an area where it can drop to before it pushes higher. So we still have, it still has some juice to like push up to the week view. It's not really there yet. So the week view is at 42, let's say 42, 44, around that area. So if they do manage to reject that area, right, I would say price needs to retest this area, right? On the daily time frame, price needs to retest this area. But for it to retest that area, we need to see some structure being formed on the lower time frames. So right now we have, before price did this whole move, right, it created a low right here, which is it, which is at our resistance that it needs to retest, right? You can pretty much see that it didn't retest, it just kept going up, it did not do any retest. So I would say on the 1 hour time frame, we have some sort of a support that was also created around this area. I think this was during Asian session. So I would say if price does manage to find resistance right there, we might see price drop to, let's say we want price to come up, right, do some sort of a structure at this high, then we can see price drop to this area, right? And then from this area, we can then expect price to push up to complete the monthly time frame analysis, or it might get to this area, right, do the structure, but then drop, right, the first drop, and then the retest, touch the order block, because now this is an order block, right, touch the order block, and then from there it
How do
would,
you
it will complete
what?
the bullish move.
How do you identify order block?
So basically an order block is an area where they put their big trades, right, where the institutions and banks put their big trades. So you find
Mhm.
them at a low or at a high. So when I say at a low, right, you want, let's say, a strong trend, or a strong bullish trend, or a strong bearish trend, right? You want a strong trend at the end. You look at the end, right? You want this trend, you're looking at this trend, right? So you go back to where it started, and you look for the last bearish candle before the strong bullish move started. So this would be this bearish candle, that was the last bearish candle. That's our order block. So price, that means price can come back down, hit this area, and then push higher.
Ah, gotcha.
Yes,
Okay.
was
So the last candle before a big movement.
yes, the last so if you are looking at a bullish trend and you want to enter at the order block, when it comes down at the order block, you're looking at the last bearish candle. But if you are looking at a bullish trend, I mean, if you're looking at a
Mm-hmm.
bearish trend, right, let's say you're looking
Bearish,
at
yeah.
this bearish trend and you want to enter
Mm-hmm.
the big sells when price comes back up to retest, you're looking at the last bullish candle,
Mm-hmm.
then that will
Gotcha.
push price lower. Normally it actually does work,
Yeah.
because remember we said when they put their trades, right, they can't put all of them at once, they have to put some and then push price, right, take some profits, and then push price back down. Sometimes it reaches this area, sometimes it comes very close, that means there's an order block, and then push price back up, take some profits, come back down,
Yeah.
put more, and then once they are finally satisfied, then we can see price during the big trend.
Got you.
So that's where the range comes in. Yeah, so our last bearish candle in our range from yesterday would be our order block. So we can expect price to hit this area, and then from there we would want to see it come back down. This is our two supports that it needs to respect for it to continue going higher. It can come back all the way, break through this. It can break through this low, right? Come back to retest this, but it can't close in that area on the weekly time frame.
Okay.
Yes, so the weekly time frame can come push into this area, but it has to pull back up to close above our
Yes.
support. And then that would confirm that price still can push higher. But yes, for price to keep on pushing higher, it also can break this low. If it breaks this low, then price is now ranging. Because remember, on the higher time frame, we have a big range that's going on. We have a big range that's going on. Like if we check on the, is it the weekly time frame? Let's say monthly time frame. All right. If you look at this monthly time frame, right, we had price push up, right, create resistance right here, and then it pushed down. It already had support at this area, right? It pushed down, respected support, and then it pushed back up. So price could also respect this resistance and push back to support, and then we can see this for a long time because
Yeah.
it is ranging, and in its range, besides the big range, price on a long term, right, price has always been in a downtrend. Price has always been in a downtrend. So as much as this bullish move might actually break out, and it hits it hits this area, right, at some point I expect price to continue the downtrend at some point, unless
Yeah.
something big changes in the world, because
Yeah.
price has always been in a downtrend. Yes. So now let's look at gold and see. We also didn't catch gold, right?
No, I didn't.
Right. Let's see what we have. All right. This is our gold. All right. Also, this is gold monthly time frame. So good thing about gold is it has always been in an uptrend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since it has always been in an uptrend, we can expect the uptrend to continue nicely, very well. So we were going to go on the weekly time frame. Remember, on the weekly time frame, we were saying that price can push higher, but there were weeks that we were looking out for. Yeah, this area right here, there are weeks that we were looking out for around this area, right? And we were saying we want price to reach these weeks, and then from here we can sell, right? So it did reach those weeks, but you were supposed to be in the trade for this move up. So
Yes.
yesterday when we analyzed, price was at this area, and we were saying we want price to close below this low, right, to complete this week, to complete this clean traffic, and then we can watch price push higher.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. See? So remember when I was saying you want one strong bearish candle, right, to close below this weak fill, this low, right? It will do a weak fill and possibly push up before it pushes lower. And you see this candle closed below, right? And then the next candle, it might have not been a bullish candle on this time frame, but it did pull up before it pushed lower. Like if we go on the 30-minute time frame, you can see how price is a wick on top, right? So that wick was the one that was retesting to push price lower, right? And then the
Mhm.
same thing on GU is the same thing that happened here. You see how the candles are very tiny as price pushed lower, right? Because it could have easily completed this clean traffic with one candle, but we see how price completed it with very tiny candles, right? That was price telling us that price didn't have any bearish pressure, but they were dropping price to a good price so that they can enter their buys, right? And then your confirmation for buyers was simply this candle, right? Even if you didn't want to enter on this candle, price closed above nicely with this candle, right? That candle closed above,
Yeah.
so you could have easily entered when it closed above, and you can push price to our target.
Yeah.
It did exactly what we were expecting it to do. So even if you didn't manage to catch the sales, you were supposed to catch the buys from this low. If not this low, then from this candle. Because remember when we talked about our candles, the engulfing candles,
Yeah.
we said a very good engulfing candle would be one candle that covers let's say three or more
Too bearish.
yes, and then you can see this one covered, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6, yeah, about 7 of them, though
Yeah.
it actually covered the whole bearish move.
Yeah.
So that should have been your sign that price had high chances of continuing pushing higher before it could
Right.
drop. Then for today, since price reached the area that we were expecting it to reach, right, and we were expecting it to reject from there, which it did. You can see that price had a high at this area, right? And then it dropped to create this low, and then from this low, right, it created a new high right here, right? So for today, since it's still London session only, we could expect price to reach this low, right? Same thing that happened yesterday, right? And then push price higher to give us, you remember our structure that we always look for. Price can consolidate, right? Price can be in a range, but until we have a fake out somewhere, then we can expect price to keep pushing higher. So
Hmm.
right, so today we can say price is in a range until we have a fake out above, come back to close in the range, then we can expect price to push lower, because this is a good price for price to push lower to even come back and retest this whole move from yesterday.
Hmm.
So we can expect it to come back, let's say to around this area. Remember order block, that would mean this was the last bearish candle was our order block. So
Hmm.
I would say possibly before New York opens, we could see price come all the way to this low, right? So if you see price at this low before 2 p.m. or around 2 p.m., it's best to wait for it to give you a spike up. It might not even come to give us the fake out, but any spike up, and then around 3, if price is now playing at this area, then you know it's gonna push lower all the way.
Okay.
Yes, even if it doesn't push up all the way, right, or give us the spike up, what you should know is that before, if it's gold, before 2:30, let's say 2 o'clock, 2:30, it's best not to do anything, because it will spike it would even give you candles that are weird. It will just spike up and down, before it gives you the actual move. We can see that from yesterday. See, this was around 2 o'clock. You see this candle, right? So what I'm saying is you want a candle that's similar to this candle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm around 2 o'clock, right? Or even 3 o'clock, 2:30. We want a candle like this.
Okay.
Then that would push price lower. But
Yeah.
a candle like this, right, shouldn't be at the low. We want it at a better price. If it happens at the low like this, right, then that's also a good thing. However, you want the next candle to be significant. You want it to be maybe something this. You just want it to be bigger than this.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not bigger than that and it gives you the same exact candle, right, then you are waiting for the next candle to be at least some big, right, and then you can enter on the retest. If you think it's not going to retest, you can even enter then and then, because that would push price lower.
Okay.
Yes, but but the most important thing is having this candle around 2 o'clock. So because that would retest the high, because price always retests the high or the low when a new session opens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So since London session opened right now, right, and price was at a high, and price created a low earlier during Asian session, right? I'm saying that we need London session needs to see price come to the low to retest it if it's gonna go higher.
Yeah.
So if New York session is going to open and price is at the low, you're going to expect price to retest the high first before it can push lower.
Okay.
Yes, for all pairs actually. That's what normally happens. Price is the price test it retests the low or the high, or it will pull back to the most recent range or most recent breakout for the
Okay.
retest before it pushes price higher.
Yeah. Or lower.
Yes, exactly. Or lower. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, but that's what I would expect for today. Because
Okay.
if price does break this resistance, right, that means price is going to be in a bullish trend for a long time. As you can see, clean traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so from what we have seen before, price does not just give us a strong breakout without retesting its previous lows or highs, and it hasn't retested this area on a daily level. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say even if it does break out, right, let's say price doesn't give us the, also remember, we're not only looking for sales, we're also looking for buys,
Yeah.
because price could break out. So let's say for buys, right, if price does break out today, I would expect it to, let's say, give us a new high, but it will still come back to retest before it goes before it goes higher. So it will do something that's similar to this, right? Or that's similar to this, because this structure was only bigger, but it's also exactly like this structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's also exactly like this structure. So we can only expect price to keep on giving us the same structure.
Yeah.
Because right now, let's say on this one we had, let's say 1 2 3 big bullish candles. Let's say 4. Here we had 3. Here we had 2. So here we have 3. So if today's candle does not drop and give us a bearish candle, we might have a 4th bullish candle, and then it will give us the bearish before it can move higher.
Okay.
Yes, but the same thing that I mentioned on GU, right, that price could be ranging, is the same thing that we can see also here. We could have this as our low, this is our high. So price could have easily came down, came up, and can easily come down also.
Mm-hmm.
So for price to confirm this, right, it has to break below this area.
Okay.
Yeah, so the moment price breaks below this area, right, you're now expecting it to push lower.
Yeah.
You're now expecting it to push lower, right? That's 1. 2, you're expecting it to reach the support, right? So you can have one trade that is always on break even, and when price breaks the second support, then this confirms to us that price is gonna push lower. It's gonna reach the support
Yeah.
before we can think that it's gonna do something else.
Nice.
Yes. So I would say that's pretty much what we're looking for today. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to keep an eye on it so that I can tell you if I see something that's happening.
All right.
But you can see right now, right? Why I'm saying it might reach this low or even come down all the way. You can see how price hasn't had a bullish candle. All the candles keep pushing it lower.
Yeah.
If this candle that's printing right now closes as a bearish candle, I have no doubt that price will create another bearish candle. Because if it wanted to push higher, it could have pushed higher on any of these pin bars, because these are pin bars, but
Mm-hmm.
they are not closing as bullish pin bars. They keep on closing as bearish pin bars. That's only saying that there's more selling pressure than bullish pressure.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So you have seen, you know what you're looking out for, right?
Yeah. No, for sure.